All right, ready to go? All right, welcome to our third annual digital event, formerly known as Block Party. We're now introducing Variphy Beyond. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Phil Corbin, Director of Marketing here at Variphy. Each year, Variphy Beyond brings together our very own product, engineering, sales, marketing, and leadership teams along with you, our leaders in the Voice UC community. Honestly, it's an incredibly exciting time to come together for this event. We are a call analytics company at the core, and now we're expanding to support the UC platforms of the future. Before we really get going, I'd like to remind everybody that we have a QA panel available in the lower right corner of your WebEx screen, panelists standing by to answer all of your questions. Please, if you have any questions, ask them in the QA panel. All right, for our agenda. What's new this year, we've changed our format. We're making this experience a faster paced single day event. You'll hear from our founders, Danny and Layne. You'll learn all about our new supported platforms like Zoom Phone. Our Director of Product Development, Derek Falter, will discuss future supported platforms like WebEx calling in Microsoft Teams. Last but not least, of course, we'll be giving away $4,000 worth of gift cards and prizes along the way, so make sure you stay tuned to the end. You could be the lucky winner of our grand prize worth $3,000. With that, I'm going to hand the mic over to Danny Tran and Layne Hoo, our founders. Danny, Layne, great to have you with us at Beyond.
Thanks a lot, Phil. For all of you, welcome to Variphy Beyond. We're so happy that you're able to join us today. Lots of familiar names here, along with some new ones as well. And so I'd like to kick us off, as always, usually with a big thank you on behalf of my co-founder, Layne, myself, and our talented group of engineers and employees here. Absolutely can't say thank you enough for your trust, your direction, and your partnership with us. I think as a company, Variphy just turned 18, but we've always felt and operated like a startup. Variphy Beyond is a nod to where we've come from and where we're headed, as Phil mentioned. And it's about being on this journey with you. It's about taking direction from our customers and our partners, going above and beyond our roots. And it's just fantastic to see some old friends and to meet some new ones on this call. Speaking of 18 years, I couldn't ask for a better co-founder and effectively my co-CEO than Layne Hoo. So for those that don't know Layne, he's great at everything. And when he's not focused on Variphy, he's coaching his daughter's little league soccer team, living his life 35 yards at a time and a dozen juice boxes at a time. Pretty much the same thing as many of you guys can relate to as parents. So Layne.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks, Phil. Thanks everyone for joining us. Funny you mentioned soccer. We got a game this weekend, and if I could get my third grade girls team to care more about the game than the snacks after the game, that I think would be an even better team. But save that challenge for another day. 18 years. So Tuesday was actually our company's birthday after 18 years, October 25th, and it feels like a long time, but it also has gone by pretty quickly. Kind of brings me back to reflect on the early days of the company. When you start a company, a lot of people probably have a really clear plan, a lot of experience, and know exactly what to do. And that probably makes it pretty easy, maybe, to start a company by yourself. I certainly was not one of those people. There was probably more that I didn't know than what I knew we had to do. The one common thread was we just knew what we wanted to do, and we were going to figure out what we needed to get done kind of along the way. And in that regard, not knowing what I didn't even know, having Danny to be on this mission, this road, this journey with me has meant all the difference in the world. Right? We were able to bounce ideas off each other, learn, make a ton of mistakes, maybe more than our share, but pretty fortunate that we can look back and laugh about most of them, maybe all of them, take those lessons learned and apply them year over year as we grow the team. This past year we've seen a nice return to some normalcy. It was great to finally get back to Cisco Live in Vegas in June after missing a couple years, and and to see so many people, partners, customers, friends, really, that we've gotten to know, spent time with over these last 18 years, and to see them at our party that we had, our event to appreciate one another, especially after not seeing somebody for so long, was really awesome. And looking forward to the company, myself, our team getting out there more as the world begins to get comfortable with opening up again, and to hopefully meet all of you, shake your hand, understand how we can better help you. So how about, Danny, we get into kind of what this event really is about and take things forward?
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks, Layne. For those of you that are somewhat new to Variphy, talking about the great things that we've done, quarter over quarter, year over year, is, never been mine or Layne's style. We prefer to kind of show our gratitude towards our customers and partners who work behind the scenes to make collaboration work for their organizations. And, we've got a lot of customers here that are in healthcare, education, financial services, technology, and our channel partners as well that, do the heavy lifting, make collaboration as seamless as possible, if that's possible. So, in addition to shining the light on you and everything that you guys do, I'd certainly like to give a shout out to our talented team. The most satisfying measurement, I think, for Layne and I over these 18 years is literally to see the growth and the capability of this team. And our job has never been to kind of lead from out front, but really to kind of get behind and support the talented crew that we've got.
Yeah, whether you've been fortunate to work or given us the chance to work with you for several years, or you're just beginning your journey with us and feeling us out and seeing if we're a company that you'd like to work with, part of this event is really to give you a real sense of who we are, how we operate, what that means for you, and how that drives your experience, your interactions with us as a company, as a team. First and foremost, that starts with happy employees, happy team members. We believe that making this place we possibly can for our employees every day, every year, to see their growth, to challenge them to grow, to have an impact on what we do as a team, always translates ultimately to more patient, happier engineers that are working with you, to success representatives and account managers who are focused on helping you solve problems and being solution oriented rather than selling you something. And even when we have other members of our team joining calls with you, whether it be software engineering or marketing, I'm pretty proud that all of them would represent us well, be patient, want to actually generally help you. And that starts with how we work together here internally, each and every day. Second part of it is really continuity of care. My wife is in the healthcare industry, and when she was telling me about her residency days and how they would spend 30 hours on and then get some time off, it didn't seem to make sense to me. But after thinking about it and talking to her, it makes a lot of sense to see each of her patients go through from being admitted into the hospital and hopefully being able to be discharged in with the right direction. And so that's a model that we've carried through here, which is and I'm confident that each and every one of you has gotten to know one, if not many, of our systems engineers, our account managers, our success representatives, and gotten to know them as people. I truly hope that you don't feel like you're starting over each time with every email or every ticket or every support request. That's a frustration I personally have when I get support from other organizations, where I feel like I have to start over with each and every interaction. And that's the opposite of what we want to do here. And so, we truly believe that giving our teammates time, setting the right expectations, ultimately leads them to be happier. And that extends to those experiences with you.
Yeah, thanks, Layne. I think just to kind of recap there, I mean, our brand and our culture really, we aim to have it be synonymous with amazing customer experience. And we know that for most of you guys have similar missions to ours, for your organizations, and whether that's internal in supporting your employees, or external and making sure that you're focused on your customers' experience as well. So, love the fact that we're on similar missions. As Layne mentioned, we've built a culture of customer first professionals. It's not really incidental or incremental. to our success. It's just been a part of who Layne and I have been since day one when we got our start. And both of us have been through enough of these presentations where people kind of spend a lot of time talking about culture, and when we talk about culture to a bunch of technologists like yourselves, it's going to sometimes elicit some eye rolls. And again, as I said, we've been through some failed attempts to come up with mission statements, and I'm sure some of you have been a part of it, where it just didn't necessarily ring true. And it's not something that companies can easily fake or correct, for that matter. So we love the fact that you guys can just measure us and take us on our actions, and not necessarily because we've got a fancy mission statement or a fancy marketing statement. Sorry, Phil, not talking about our marketing team, which is awesome, but I think you guys know what I mean there. So.
Yeah, the funny thing is our organization is probably smaller than every one of yours out there. That's something that, it feels large to us. The running joke here is that I never said we'd be larger than 15 or 20 or 25 or 35 people. We've just hired our 40th. I still get giddy and warm and fuzzy whenever a new employee accepts an offer to join our team. Same kind of joy that I got when we made our first hire. And I hope that never changes. I think what the running joke was about, that less about our resistance to grow, because of course we want to grow, but was how we would sustain or even improve our culture as a team. As you get more people, that becomes more difficult to do. And it's not something we should be scared of, but certainly something cognizant about. But with every person we've added just in the last 2 years alone, much less 5 to 8 years now, the culture has improved. We hire the right people. We're not for everybody. Our company is entirely remote. Most of you maybe know that, maybe you don't. But everybody here is wanting to work from home full time, 100% of the time. We don't have an office. Danny, do you remember those early days when we used to have an office?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was in San Francisco when we, realized it just didn't work for our needs, as Layne said. So we gave up our office early on. Haven't looked back. It's probably 10 years ahead of when the pandemic was, if you're keeping score, guys. Our teams do get together, but it's just more to connect, not necessarily because we need to get any real work done in person. And it certainly, as Layne said, doesn't work for most industries, but it works great for a collaboration software company.
Yeah, I think leaving the office behind was a blessing. It gave us freedom. It gave us more time. Back in those days, I would take the train up to San Francisco, and there was no Wi-Fi on the train, and the tethering wasn't great. So just the amount of work, the quality of work that we could get done just wasn't the same. That combined with, we could look outside of our geographical area to find the best talent that best fit our culture, best fit what we wanted to do. And that's what you're working with today on a daily basis with our team, both behind the scenes and on the front lines. People who want to work remotely, who don't need to be micromanaged, who want to be challenged and take their own initiative to help each other out and to help you. So that's basically a dozen states. We span every time zone, every sporting team, every hobby, every vice that's probably out there. We talk about it. We don't take ourselves too seriously. So that's just a snapshot of really who we are.
And just to add to that, every employee that you guys work with at Variphy is based out of the United States. We don't have anybody, whether that be support, QA, or anybody in our organization that's abroad. Everybody here is here. So to wrap up this topic, I think the final piece that was a huge contributor, to our culture and our success is that, Layne and I, we struggled early on because we didn't bring on any venture capital or private equity, in our formative years. So, for some of you guys that know us, that we went through some lean years, and this enabled us to, just really truly focus on the only thing that we could focus on, which was in front of us, which was our own survival, our customers. And in our past lives, a good portion of our time was spent thinking about meeting investor expectations, and which now we're focused on our partners, we're focused on our customers. It's a completely different dynamic when you grow something organically, as we have. So changing topics a bit here, for you, there's some extremely large and successful companies that are literally doing everything they can to get your mind share and your business. And we as well. We can certainly commend you guys for your career choice. It's our career choice too, to be in the world of collaboration, but it's certainly nice to be wanted. And for us, I think the collaboration community is a great place to call home. It's still as dynamic and rewarding as it was, 18 years ago. And, we consider ourselves extremely, happy, fortunate, charged up, and just grateful to be on this journey with you.
Yeah, these are really, really fun times. Not to say that the last 10 or 18 years weren't fun, but they were, maybe steady would be the better word. Now these are, I can use the word chaos in a good way. There's a lot of options out there. There's a lot of decisions to make. Looking at the audience here and the over 600 people that have registered and attended this event, which is pretty awesome to see. I see the whole spectrum represented, which is really reflective of what we see firsthand, day in and day out in this industry from our standpoint. I see a lot of folks who are very content staying on premise with their systems, with their applications, with their infrastructure for technical compliance or various other reasons. I see folks representing those who have expansion plans, either already done, in progress, or in the works, to add hybrid or other or even cloud systems or users, maybe in remote sites or as they merge and acquire with other companies. I see full migration to cloud from off-prem, and I see those who are already on cloud fully. Pretty exciting when you think about each of those 4 buckets and combinations there within. So for us, Variphy Beyond doesn't represent leaving any one of those or anyone behind. It's more about getting beyond what we were comfortable with yesterday, and ultimately taking this journey with you and helping you in any way that we can. You're likely going to hear from our team even more than you already do about what you're thinking about, what your organization's plans are, what's on your horizon. How can we better help you? What can we be thinking about? And you'll hear about that from our team today after this. Ultimately, you guys are all a huge part of our success, and a big driver in that is being a part of our development process. What should we be prioritizing? How should we be thinking about things? How can we better really understand what you are all going through, so we can position ourselves to be a partner with you and help you with your UC analytics along the way, and kind of be your partner in that journey. So to wrap this up, I just want to thank everybody again for joining. We've got some talented folks here that I'm sure you want to hear from more than us, so I'm going to segue to them. We have Matt and Victor on deck now. They're going to showcase Variphy Call Analytics for Zoom Phone, which is one of many major improvements coming, which our team will share with you today. But first, I will pass the ball back to Phil to get things rolling.
Great, thanks, Layne. Thanks, Danny. Exciting times here at Variphy, absolutely. But before we pass it to Matt and Victor, it's time for our first prize patrol. We have our marketing team member here, Jim Butler, ready to give away our first $500 gift card. Butler, take it away.
Thank you. I'm not sure how I got the coolest job here today, giving away money, but every 20 minutes or so today, we're going to be giving away a prize, so stick around. Phil, can you show me the next slide? This is a $500 Amazon gift card. I am happy to award it to Sheldon Moss. Sheldon, congratulations. Very happy for you. Your account manager or representative will be reaching out to you as soon as this event is over. Stick around, everybody. We'll have another prize in 20 minutes. Phil, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Jim, and congratulations, Sheldon, on winning that first prize, $500 Amazon gift card. All right, next up, we have a regular during our weekly Wednesday webinar or workshops, Systems Matt Sykes, and Director of Systems Engineering, Verba, here to tell you all about our extremely highly anticipated new offering, Zoom Phone Analytics. Matt, Victor, it's all you.
All right. Thank you very much, Phil. And thank you guys all for joining us on Variphy Beyond this year. This is our annual event. If you've ever had an opportunity to join any of our previous events, our house parties, our block parties, one, we like to have a little bit of fun with everything. But two, we also like to get a little serious. We may not be dumping beer on anybody today, but we are going to go ahead and talk a little bit about some of the things that we've got upcoming. And one of the things that we've been talking about for quite a while, I see a lot of names out on the list here that are joining us today. I've talked with you a lot individually at different shows about some of these things, is our Zoom phone analytics. So we are super stoked to be able to bring this out. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. So one of the first things we're going to talk a little bit about from a Zoom analytics perspective is something that we always pride ourselves on, and that is easy, quick implementations. That's being able to spin up a system in 10, 15, 20 minutes, have you reporting and building reports. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and address, and Matt, please join me in here. Tell me a little bit about our setup process for Zoom. One of the things, like I said, we talk a lot about, how quickly we can get you up and running. If you're familiar with our Cisco platforms, we could spin up a Cisco system 15, 20 minutes and have you, generating analytics and providing meaningful information. With Zoom, are we still looking at that quick kind of setup, or are we talking about a day's worth implementation here?
No. You are looking at the same type of smooth connectivity to the Zoom API from Variphy. So it would still be the small setup time variety, but definitely I would think within a matter of 10, 15 minutes max to get this set up. It's a pretty straightforward connection that we actually have. And if I had screen sharing rights, I would show us a slide in a moment here. But what we do with the Variphy app is Variphy is going to have a published app on the Zoom marketplace. It will be called Variphy Call Analytics for Zoom Phone, and okay. And we will connect to the Zoom API with an OAuth connection to allow the authentication and authorization for Variphy to make those data requests from the Zoom Phone APIs.
Excellent. So that marketplace app. Now Variphy currently we support Cisco CDR in the cloud. We also support on-prem. Neither of those are going to be going away. From a functionality perspective, whatever you're going to be able to do in our cloud, you're going to be able to do in our CDR reporting application as well. What about from a deployment perspective? Am I seeing a huge difference whether I want to deploy Zoom Phone with Variphy in the cloud versus Zoom Phone on my existing on-prem system? Or is really that setup process, that marketplace, is that kind of the same walkthrough for us?
It's going to be a similar walkthrough, yes. So for
okay.
new customers, obviously, with it being a cloud calling platform, the Zoom Phone Analytics. Certainly, there's a Variphy cloud-hosted solution that we can offer for new customers that want to go stay everything cloud, like you were kind of mentioning. But existing customers that are on-prem, want to stay on-prem, or even a hybrid model. If we have current existing customers that want to use the Zoom Analytics within Variphy, but use the Variphy cloud and still have other modules for Variphy on-prem. So there's the best of both worlds as far as deployment models are optional.
Awesome, excellent. Glad to, thank you, Matt. Thanks for kind of clearing that up. So again, we're not changing processes on you here. This is going to be just as fast as easy to set up a Zoom phone as it is a call manager, as it is a UC6 or a Cube system, or any of the platforms that we're going to start kind of supporting going forward. So enough jibba jabba. Let's go ahead and put the proof in the pudding. You know what, Matt? Let's go ahead and get you sharing out your screen. Let's take a look at some Zoom analytics here.
Okay, let's go ahead and do it. I just need the wheel.
And you're off.
Gotcha. Thank you, Phil. All right, let me drag these fun WebEx headers off the page. Let's get this out of the way. Here we go. All right, well, thanks for dashboard. It is. I always have the best dashboards. Come on, are you kidding me? Thanks for setting the table there for me, Victor. And hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Matt Sykes. If you haven't spoken with me or met me previously, I'm a systems engineer here at Variphy. And today, I'm proud to introduce to you all Variphy's Zoom Phone Call Analytics. Right now, we're looking at a dashboard in one of my lab environments. I'm definitely a dashboard guy. I love to build dashboards because I definitely feel that the visual aesthetics certainly capture a lot of audience members, and the content is on par. So definitely there's a lot of good availability there. We just covered the connection stuff with the Zoom API, but certainly I can show a quick little a Zoom developer doc here off of their website here, and it does make mention of the OAuth connection that we would utilize to the marketplace, using the marketplace app, for the authorization and authentication for Variphy to pull those data requests. then you have the luxury of being able to query, or our application query the Zoom API every 2 minutes and perform a 3-hour, I guess, sweep collection window in case we've missed anything for longer duration style calls. But we're writing that directly into a SQL database every 2 minutes. There's a lot of longevity there, and definitely there's a lot of options here at our disposal. So can definitely build out a lot of widgets that a lot of you are probably already familiar with if you have Variphy and have been using the Cisco analytics that we've provided for eons, it seems. That's definitely been our bread and butter, but definitely the newer cloud calling platforms, certainly we're leveraging now. Certainly we're looking at Zoom Phone right now. Definitely there's a lot of widget options at our disposal. I can certainly build call volume by time periods, distribution style widgets. I can build leaderboard widgets or grouping widgets within the interface here, but a lot of bits and pieces as well. So we can break down from the Zoom API data set, just like we can similarly for Call Manager and the Cube iOS as well. So if we need to build out concurrency widgets or include those in our structured reportings, definitely feasible and attainable very easily within the app.
One question for you, Matt. One of the things that I'm noticing, and this is an excellent dashboard, and you've got a lot of user information, and I may ask you some questions about that in a second. But I know it looks like we're very focused in on just Zoom Analytics right here. As of we support multiple platforms. We're going to continue to support even more platforms going forward. And Derek's going to talk a little bit about that in his presentation. But from a single pane of glass, we've got a lot of customers that they're doing migrations. They may have no intention of fully cutting over to one platform. They're going to stick with some on-prem. They're going to stick with some cloud. They're going to stick with different platforms. How do we support that going forward? Can I get that single pane of glass from a dashboard perspective? Can I see UCCX on your Zoom dashboard?
You certainly can. Great question. And the dashboards within Variphy are they're platform independent. We will call them. So I can certainly have in this example in this lab here, we can see here certainly you can have as many dashboards as you like. But you can see here I have more siloed dashboards around Cube, CUCM, and UCCX and Zoom Phone as well. But I do have a combo, and it's all platforms up top here. And I have this built over here. So we can take a quick look at this one. This, like you just mentioned, has multiple platforms in one pane of glass. I guess for lack of a better term, column A would be the Call Manager, column B would be the Contact Center Express, Cube iOS and C, and then column D to wrap with the new Zoom Phone analytics. So a lot of adoption and applicability here, whether it's capacity utilization widgets, whether it's the real-time CSQ or agent statistics from the contact center side of the house, errors that are traversing the Cube that you may be unaware of, or calls that are not making their way into Call Manager that you're still unaware of, but also even breaking down things further. So whether or not we're looking at robo dialer calls, but in a nutshell, yes, we could have multiple platforms on one pane of glass.
And if you scroll up a little bit over there, I mean, that's it's a great thing to have, and it's a huge advantage because, again, a vast majority of the customers, they're going through these same changes that we are. They're migrating to some of these cloud-based platforms, be it Zoom or WebEx, and they're starting to do those migrations. So being able to see, I mean, very much like what you have on your dashboard here. If you look off at the right, I'm seeing my Zoom call volume. If you look down towards the bottom left, you've got your Call Manager call volume. So you're actually able to kind of compare in a single dashboard. You're going to see some of your volumes going down maybe on your Call Manager while some of your Zoom volumes are going up. So, being able to present that in a single dashboard is a huge advantage to our telecom administrators because they're going to be able to see that usage and those things that they're paying for starting to see those migrations and those trends start to happen as they start to change out their environments, add new locations, add new sites into web-based platforms and things. So excellent. Yeah, beautiful dashboard you got here, Matt.
Oh, thank you very much. But no, you're spot on there, Victor, with regards to those kind of migrations between platforms that we're starting to see, and then definitely we'll all be seeing for the next few years going to to different platforms. But definitely a lot of leverage within the Variphy application to go ahead and harness all of the data components for the supervisors, for the managers, however they would like to have it laid out, whether or not we're reading these in the dashboard interface, or whether or not we're utilizing the structured reporting, which certainly has more granularity, but as well as a lot of the bells and whistles that we're seeing here on these dashboard widgets.
Awesome. So What do we got? Show me more.
Show you more? You want to see more?
Show me more.
Show me more. Okay. So I'll dive into the analytics side of the house. So I'm in the secondary module right now off the title bar here that's called Analytics Reporting. This is going to be the same screen that people are familiar with for the Call Manager Analytics side of the house for that reportability. So all of this should look very, very similar. It's pretty much the exact same UX design, which should feel pretty comfortable for people that are new to utilizing our newer platforms that we're supporting, that are coming from an older one, Call Manager to Zoom or to MS Teams, etc. We attempt to have the same UX layout here. But what you do is you certainly get a lot of bang for your buck here. Not that I'm a salesperson, but you can certainly key off of a lot of ad hoc kind of one-offs, if you will. So there's in the history section here, I have a bevy of options, let's say, as far as what search criteria or filters that I can search off of. So whether I'm keying off of something that's single direction or multi-direction, just like we can with the other platforms as well, I definitely have that filtering capability. There's also a lot of lookups and pick lists from things that we're reading from the Zoom API so that we can help package and build our reports and our dashboard widget structure. So whether or not I'm keying off of certain org levels or certain site locations and certain information that we're reading from the Zoom API sync, certainly I can leverage that accordingly.
So some of those fields that you've got there bring up a good point. If the way that we like to manage our system, build our system out is really what I've always referred to as a no maintenance solution. We never want anybody to have to come to us and maintain yet another directory database full of first names and last names and phone numbers and extensions and gateways, and the list goes on. So as you're pulling this up right here, and this is a good example, this is not something we're not making people try to house this information. Nobody's importing this into our system, right?
No, that's correct. No third-party database for this, for the sync or user org structure from the phone system, no.
Excellent. So again, we're continuing to keep that no maintenance solution. Now you got a cool little button there that I haven't seen before. Tell me a little bit about that switch. Show historical options, Matt. I want to know more.
You want to know more?
I want to know more.
The application is stocked loaded with all kinds of cool buttons to press on there. They're all over the place. But this one like specifically buttons. Here, I know you do. I know you do. I like pick lists myself. But what this toggle here shows and show historical data options. So what this would do is, without it being checked right now, you can see I picked off of four, organizational units. These are departments from this Zoom API I'm connected to, but these are active, orgs, if you will, or active departments within this system. But if there's terminated employees, or if there's turnover, or there's change in org structure, for instance, some things are going to be expired or inactivated, if you will. So prime example, say a user that left the company 6 months or so ago, but there's a call for a manager for that department to even include that termed user's content. So that's what this button is going to leverage for us. Yes. So once we turn it on, we'll actually be able to see all the inactive or deleted previously active organizational units. Then they are on my pick list, and guess what? They're flagged with a flag icon. So it can't get any easier than that to identify it. So we flagged it with the flag. Perfect.
So we're getting some historical information. So people that have left the company, departments that are no longer viable, we don't lose any of that data. We're still able to report those and actually pick them from a pick list with a flag.
Exactly. I do.
Awesome.
I do like that. But yeah, as always, we can search whatever we need to under here. I always kind of search in this method when I jump into a new system, but let me change my time period here. I like to use my wildcards, so let me just look at, previous 2 weeks. Just to garner
While you're picking on your time period there and generating this guy, let me ask you a question about retention. Much like our call manager data, any retention policies that we're stuck to? Are we limited to only being able to see what Zoom has, or in a Zoom database somewhere? Or are we housing this, kind of same thing we do for our existing customers?
Yeah, correct. No, we have retention settings within the application. However, by default or even manual manipulation, certainly the retention can be set to keep forever.
Excellent.
It's actually one of the default values there of the retention, but no. So when Variphy is querying the Zoom API every 2 minutes to grab the data from the API for the environment there, we're writing it into a SQL database. So the application, the administration of the application will govern exactly that retention setting. Are we keeping everything forever? And certainly we can. We just need to be a little cognizant of the system resources so that the UI is not clunky and there's enough storage for archiving of years, for instance.
perfect.
Are you done? Can I continue?
For a little while until the
Okay.
next interruption.
Okay, all right, thank you. So as always in the history section here, I kind of treat this like a sandbox. I refer to it to people kind of as a sandbox because I can kind of search anything that we need to, under the database sun, I call it. So whether that's call manager, whether that's Zoom, certainly we can key off of what we need to formulate kind of the queries and identify the results that we're seeing in the results section here. Whether or not we want to spawn those results into one of our structured reports, we can certainly do such. So we can definitely get all our bells and whistles, levers and knobs to turn on, data tables, the concurrency charts, period over period tables, all types of chart abilities, including the raw granular call details. Now, there's definitely a flex kind of model that we adopt there. I see you got something in your mind. What do you got?
I do. I do. I do. So, and I'm looking at your reports up at the top there, and I see one that looks like it starts with organization, maybe.
It might. Are you looking behind the curtain on me again?
I am. I'm looking behind the curtain here. I'm just trying to, again, keep us on target here. We've got a lot to try to cover in a short amount of time.
Sure.
But one question I do have, and why I wanted to bring this up, because I saw that guy sitting up there, is security. We run into a lot of customers. Compliance is probably one of the number one things that we hear from customers right now. One, from data retention storage, is it secure? But two, what data do my people have access to? Can I give Matt access to 2 people or a department and limit him from being able to see, one, different clusters that I potentially have, but also different sets of data?
Yes, definitely. So I think you're just kind of describing, restricted data visibility settings within Variphy. So those we most certainly do have. So whether or not it's a single user, we're locking them down to only be able to report on themselves, or a manager to be able to report on all their subordinates, or someone at the executive level to be able to run reports or data analysis on anybody. We can do all under that umbrella. So we can certainly lock it down to whatever we need to, whether or not we're using Zoom's organizational hierarchy kind of methodology, or we could certainly fall back, which I would probably do, and utilize the Variphy restrictive data visibility settings that we can set per user and or user groups to curtail all that access.
Awesome. This is a great looking report, Matt. This is a great looking report. All right, I'm going to stop interrupting for just a second, and I'm going to let you continue. Go ahead and show me what you got here from some of those reports.
Sure. So some of the reports, the report structure, once again, should look very similar. Within the Variphy solution within analytics, we are using a flex model for the report abilities. So what I mean by flex is we can turn on a lot within the report. So as your eyes may have saw when I spawned kind of that structured report, I had all those wrenches on the far left. Those are all the options I can turn on: data tables, charts, period over period. I could turn a 3-page report into a 1,000-page report pretty easily with graphs and tables and all that. But what I say by the flex models, we can certainly, we just like the dashboards, we have the kind of the happy medium. So we can certainly have, the 1,000-page report if we need to, but also we can have that whittled down to a 2-3-page report at very high, summarized levels for, mid-level managers or executives. But as always, we can have the happy medium right in the middle there. So it's definitely to each their own how it's kind of laid out. We're definitely going to have report template packages to kind of help educate and, get people off on the right foot with regards to, building in kind of course, in building out some report structures within the Variphy packaging. But what we have here on this org summary here is, as you made mention, correct. So we're reading, we're able to read the Zoom API sync, so we can see and read all the end users, read all the org structures. Then in Variphy, we can correspondingly, package that and build those into reports. So showcasing, organizational summary. So I'm utilizing bidirectional logic here. So inbound and outbound traffic, including internal calls for breakdowns by departments. Then the users underneath. Then all their summarizations and high-level data points. Inbound call counts, outbounds, etc. Voicemail call counts. Even as we were mentioning earlier, queue calls, which I think we should report on in a moment. But how often are they participating in those queue calls? So there's definitely different orgs are going to have access to those called queues where others won't. So as you can see, accounting services does, accounting and accounts payable does not. But a lot
Can you show me people who haven't had calls? I'm curious.
Oh, well, you mean kind of like a no calls report?
Very similar to a no calls report, yeah. Can you show me? I mean, with Zoom, and it's a license, it's a user-based license. Do I have a way, and I noticed something in your dashboard, can you do that from a report perspective if I want to see, look at these two guys, never making any calls over there. But if I want to be able to see, hey, I have a lot of license. I want to run a report for 3 months, 6 months and find out, are these folks actually using those, like Dan and Jeff over here? Somebody's got to talk to those guys.
Exactly. Slackers, I call them, when I see them next to the water cooler. But yes, definitely, we can build out dormancy, so or zero call usage, or even underutilized. But we'll stay with the dormancy for now. So
beautiful.
Whether or not we're locking that down to users, or once again those organizational structures for departments and stuff like that, we certainly can, or even the device types. But definitely we can build structured reports around that. So we always kind of assist and aid with that with regards to system cleanup, not in our system, but in the kind of the phone system. So if there's a lot of kind of stale users that are sitting in there, devices that are unplugged, put in a closet that you're paying licensing costs on, that Victor just mentioned, these are good reports to be able to leverage and run them over a month. This one's using a month, but if you want to run it 6 months or annually, certainly you can see and showcase what users, unfortunately, let me zoom out here, have zero call usage. And I'm going to pick on these top two that are at the top of my list. I like Laura, so I'll pick on Dan and Jeff. They got some splaining to do. But yes, very easy to go ahead and automate that within Verify. And then even from that, within analytics, sure, we can have as many reports as we want built out in the report bucket, but we can definitely then leverage them and automate those as well. Nice. So if we want, let me zoom in here. Let me zoom in on the Zoom stuff. So we can certainly automate the structured reports to be delivered on multiple facets, whether or not we're delivering on an hourly, a daily, a weekly, a monthly, a quarterly, a biannual, or an annual basis. We could certainly do that and build those out within Verify so that they're running on repeat frequencies. Now, whether that's in format options, you have the top 4 of your choosing, but also we're delivering them via email as optional, I suppose, the deliverables. Email, as always, as an attachment, there's a hyperlink within the body of the email. Certainly we can deliver to WebEx chat bots or chat spaces. Can also deliver reports and alerts to FTP or SFTP servers on the network, or even write them natively within the application. So as an example, I think I have one here.
So kind of set it and forget it?
Exactly. So like this middle guy here, I've got the speaking of which, the no calls report. I have one built for it to run quarterly. So that one we were just looking at, it's going to run every 3 months, but this one I have just running and delivering to the repository. The repository lives within the application UI. So certainly once this report runs, I don't necessarily need to look at it, when it runs on that first month at the beginning of the quarter. I can jump into Verify and harvest it out of here at my leisure.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Thank you very much, Matt. Awesome demonstration, man. Excellent looking stuff, buddy. Excellent looking stuff. So, hey, we're going to be hanging out for questions afterwards. We know you guys are going to have some questions. So with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and pass the ball back to Phil. Excellent job, Matt. As always, dude. Excellent. Phil, take it away, man.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Victor. All right, up next, what we have. Actually, super excited to now support Zoom Phone. All right, it's time for our second prize patrol. Jim Butler, who is our lucky $500 Amazon gift card winner for our second round.
All right, let's do it. Let's get to it. Next slide, please. Our next winner of a $500 Amazon gift card is Jared Doty. Jared! Woo!
Awesome.
Congratulations. I know everybody's excited to see our product roadmap, so I'm going to kick it back to you. In about 15 minutes, I'm going to be giving away a $3,000 grand prize, so stick around. Until then, Phil, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Congratulations, Jared. All right, up next, we have Derek Falter, our Director of Product Development, here to show you all the latest and greatest future roadmap items in the work here at Verify. Derek Falter.
Well, thank you, Phil. I appreciate that introduction. To those who don't know me, like Phil said, my name is Derek Falter. I'm the Director of Product Development here at Verify. And I'm here to present to you some things that are on our roadmap, both in terms of planned releases and also in terms of some of the planned work that we have going beyond 2023 and into the future years. So like you've heard already for some of our presentations from our keynote, from our Zoom demo, there's a couple of main themes that are driving our changes in the future here. And so those two main themes that you'll see both in this slide and on our next one are continued improvements to our core product suites and new platform and channel integrations. Again, we've already seen Zoom. You can see on these slides already, there's the Zoom logo, you see the WebEx calling logo. There's other platforms that we're breaking into beyond just our on-premise Cisco solutions that we support, but that doesn't mean we're forgetting our roots, and we know where we came from, and we know that not everybody is moving off to those platforms, at least not at this moment. So we want to continue to bring things to your product suite that will help, help drive your solutions forward and help keep us as productive as possible in your systems. So moving on to some of the actual planned releases that we have here, you can see 13.1 is coming in just a few weeks towards the end of November here. Some of the things that are coming out there are the computed CUCM CDR ring time and the cradle to grave sequence persistence. I mentioned those things together because they were kind of done in tandem, but they do solve two different problems. So the first one is that in certain call scenarios, trying to derive a ring time from a particular CDR isn't exactly, I don't want to say inaccurate, but it's not telling the whole picture. There are certain things like conference calls or console transfers where you really need to look at multiple call legs in a sequence to derive how long a call actually took to ring a certain person's phone. So now that we've introduced this, you'll have more accurate data to look at exactly how long it took between each step for a phone to ring, instead of just what you get at a particular CDR level. To drive that, we're persisting our cradle to grave sequences in the database now. So the algorithm behind that hasn't changed. We're still using a multiple passes to get really deep dives into the full sequence that a call took on a particular path. But instead of having to derive that every single time we run a report, we're going to be persisting it behind the scenes. So what that means is, as you use cradle to grave reporting, they'll become more and more, the performance will be a lot faster, right? So some of you guys out there now who are running these and have thousands of calls or millions of calls that you're running the sequences for and getting the call details for, it takes a long time to derive that stuff on the fly. So we want to make that a lot faster, and that's what this will do. Those of you who are using our UCCX analytics platforms will probably be really excited about this next one. That's the support for actually reporting on deleted values or inactive records, really depending on how you like to term it. I think Cisco uses the term inactive. I'm using deleted here just because I think it's a little bit more common. With that said, right now we're only showing you active agents, active teams, active CSQs, things like that are currently in use in your system, which is fantastic for running reports near term, or even, if you've had a pretty stable environment for a while, you'll get everything that you need. However, we know that people change jobs, people leave, people change last names. And so we want to really be able to show you the data that when it took place, when a call took place for a particular person and you're looking back 12 months or multiple years, we want to be able to show you that information. So that's what will be introduced as well as part of 13.1. Those of you who use Cube, we currently only have single Cube reporting at this time. For those of you who also use CUCM, you'll know that we support multiple cluster reporting on CUCM. So what this is really doing, the multiple Cube system reporting, is just bringing that up to feature parity with what we have with CUCM. So we're really excited about that because I know that the cubes are used in tandem a lot of times, and most people don't just have one. Sometimes you do, but a lot of people have multiple. So this will really help everyone who wants to get all their cube data into one report. This will facilitate that. And then, of course, the expiring license alerting. This is more for people who use our system in an automated fashion for the most part, who aren't in the UI every day. You might not know that your license expiration is coming. So instead of getting locked out of your system and getting emails about that, we'd rather you get an email ahead of time so that you can contact whoever you need to, whether that's an AM or one of our SEs, and get the license license extended or facilitated however you need so that you can keep using the product. Moving on to the middle section here, you have our 14.0 early access program. So this is where we're introducing Zoom Phone. You've already seen a demo of it. I won't go over all the details of it, but you might have noticed that the UX for that was very similar to our look and feel for everything that we do now for Cisco on-premise solutions. That's not by accident. We want these things to be as familiar as possible for our channel partners and for our clients out there who are using hybrid environments or who are in the middle of a transitional phase between one platform to another. It shouldn't be a foreign experience going from Cisco CUCM to a Zoom Phone or moving forward to a WebEx calling. All these platforms should be experienced the same way in our system. Yes, terminology is different. That could be configured as well, but not everything's going to be the same out of the box, but the look and feel should be. And that's what we're really striving for, as I think Matt did a great job demoing. Again, as part of that, we're not only focused on Zoom. We want to give some deliverables out there for those of you who aren't into Zoom, who aren't moving that way. And so some of those things for 14.0 will be the configurable time-based purge of process CUCM and cube CDR files, as well as showing the version ID and hardware revision for devices on as-built reports. So that first one, the time-based purge, is more useful for those of you who use our file preservation systems, usually for disaster recovery, or just if you just really like to be extra cautious and have that data on backup in case you need it. Right now, that kind of just sits in your system indefinitely until someone goes and deletes it themselves or has some script that they write. We wanted to make that a lot easier for you because we don't want that filling up your disk space. So what this will do is you'll be able to, just like our database purge, if you want to purge those files by for some time, whether that's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever it is, you'll be able to do that. As far as the version ID and hardware revisions that we're adding for the as-built reports, these are useful for those of you who want to see what phones are cloud capable. There's other uses for it, but that's one of the primary ones that we've heard from our client base. So you can expect this coming out. The early access program is starting December. We usually have about a 2-month delta between our early access programs and our GA releases. So that's pending the results from our early access program and whether we need to extend that or not. But as of now, if we assume the 2 months, that means we'd be looking at a GA release of this in about February. So we're not too far away, and we're really excited to introduce that. Moving on to 15 early access program, you can see this is where we're going to be introducing Verify Call Analytics for WebEx calling. And again, it's a lot of the same features that you get right now with CUCM, with Cube, with CCX. These are the things that you're all looking for that we like to provide. So again, call history, customizable reports, report schedules, dashboard widgets, all these things will be there for you when we deliver it. We also know that some of you like to run these things on premises instead of in the cloud. Yes, Zoom and WebEx are both cloud platforms, but that doesn't mean that you need to use our cloud system to use them. So we will be supporting both on-premises and cloud right out the gate. So we're really excited about that. And again, sticking with the theme of new platforms and channels versus core improvements, there's more that we want to add for other people who aren't moving on to WebEx calling at this moment. And those things for 15.0 will be the ability to change that cradle to grave verbiage, as well as a near real-time hunt group status information in a widget. Again, most of these things are driven by feedback that we get from various customers and partners. And these two things are no different. We've heard from certain people that cradle to grave is just not the best terminology for their workplace, particularly in the healthcare industry. Doesn't have the best connotations. So we've been asked that we make things a little bit more flexible, which fits with the theme of our application. So this really is just a natural progression for us. So we're happy to introduce that for people who want to change that verbiage. And the near real-time hunt group status information, again, we know that a lot of people use these hunt groups as a way to kind of get some call center functionality without needing a full-blown CCX solution or CCE or some other call center solution. And so right now, there's not a really good way to see who's logged in, who's logged out, and what their status is. We can kind of do that through as-built reports, but it's not a live feed. So this will be something you can put in your dashboard. TBD exactly where it's going to live, new widget or in an existing one, but it's going to you're going to be able to get it off your dashboard, which is exactly where you want it to be, so that you can get it as soon as possible. So this one, we're looking at an early access program starting around March. And again, using that 2-month approximation for how long these run, that's putting us around May for a GA release for our 15.0 solution. So really excited about that. Now, moving forward, I want to talk a little bit. We just went over some planned releases. I want to talk about some planned work right now. That's what you can kind of see on these two boxes and this slide right here. So what do I mean by planned work, right? So planned releases are taking us, as I just spoke about, to about the middle of 2023. But what else is coming after that? Well, we've got a lot of things that we're working on. And so what you see here isn't necessarily everything that's going to be delivered by 2023. A lot of this is going to be worked on beyond 2023, but much of this will be delivered towards the back end of 2023. The reason we didn't want to put exact dates on these things at this moment is because we really highly prioritize feedback that we get from customers and partners so heavily that we want to get more of that before we make commitments to them. All these things in some capacity are going to be worked on, whether that's from a research perspective, a design perspective, or development one. They will all be worked on to some extent, and many of them will be delivered on. The exact order is just yet to be determined. So of course, as we make more determinations, as we gather more data, more feedback from all of you, we will obviously message that out. If you want to be involved in some type of feedback loop, if you want to get on some type of newsletter, please reach out to your contacts here at Variphy, and we'll make sure to get that information to you as soon as we have it and as soon as it changes. So let's talk about a couple of these things. What kind of new platform and channel development are we looking at? So obviously, we're talking about Zoom. We're talking about WebEx calling. So another one on here, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, going to the middle bullet point. I want to talk about Microsoft Teams. That's another one that's been on our list. And now it's moved far beyond just the kind of research and design stage, honing in on the end of the design and being ready to move towards development pretty soon here. Again, very similar to what we're doing with WebEx calling, what we're doing with Zoom. It's going to be the exact same user experience that you see out of the box with those solutions, that you see out of the box with our existing on-prem solutions. So again, call history, customizable reports, report schedules, those types of things. Native, the ability to deploy this in the cloud, our cloud environment, or in an on-premises environment, however suits your environment the best. And again, that same UX that you know and love with our existing products. How do we expand beyond this, right? There's a lot more that we can do. So going back to the top bullet here, you can see, there's more that we want to do with just Zoom. So beyond just adding additional features to continue to bring as much feature parity as possible, we want to expand beyond just Zoom Phone. So a couple of things that are on our list right now, and again, TBD on which exactly is going to come first here, are Zoom Phone SMS and Zoom Contact Center. Those are highly asked for already by some of our development partners. We know that SMS is used very heavily in the Zoom Phone API. That may not be true for everybody, but we know that we've heard enough of it that it's very interesting to us, and it's a natural progression from what we're already tapping into. Obviously, Zoom Contact Center is a newer solution by them, but it's also one that we are interested in because it's a natural progression for us to tap into a more contact center solution. Similar to what we did with CUCM, right? Our next natural progression in analytics was to move on to CCX, their contact center solution. So we're going to do something similar here. Again, I don't know exactly which order it's going to come in because that's going to be dependent on a lot of the feedback we get from all of you. But that's you can expect to hear more and more about that over the coming months and into next year. So again, more than just Zoom, more than just Microsoft Teams. We already talked about WebEx calling. I just mentioned Zoom Contact Center. So if you're going to do Zoom Phone, and then WebEx calling, another natural progression would be, WebEx Contact Center as well. Then we could talk about WebEx meetings, Zoom meetings, all these different types of platforms and channels. Now we'll already be tapped into these platforms now, so this is more of a channel position than it is a platform one. But it's also something that we have to tap into because we know that people who are using these cloud environments aren't just using the phone aspect. They aren't just using chat. They're using all these different pieces to communicate and collaborate. And we want to be able to support you in that entire journey. And beyond that, one that we've heard a lot about ever since our introduction to Cube is, hey, this is fantastic. We love being able to tap into our session border controllers, but we don't only use cubes, or maybe we don't use cubes at all. Some people use Oracle, some people use audio codes, and we want to look into how we can support those things. And again, with feedback from you guys to understand what is it that you have, what is it that we can build, what are you looking for? Because we really can't go wrong here. There's as you can see on this list, there's so many different things and areas that we can explore. There's really no wrong choice. It's just a matter of what's going to be best for our market, which is you guys. Moving on to the box on the right, I do want to talk about some more core improvements that we're going to be working on. Because again, I want to emphasize something that I believe Layne said during the keynote, which is that we're not leaving behind our on-premises solutions. We understand where our roots are. And yes, we are going beyond just Cisco. We're going beyond just on-prem solutions. We're moving into these other platforms and cloud environments, Cisco included with WebEx. But that's not the only thing we want to do. We want to support the people that we already have, the people that help build this company. And we do that by offering core improvements to those existing product suites like CUCM, Cube, UCCX. So some of the things that we're looking into for next year are the call analytics, background alerting. Now, for those of you who joined us last year, this was on our list as well, and we've gotten a lot further along in it. We've gathered in a lot of data to understand what the needs of our partners and customers are. So I would say we're far beyond the research phase, moving into design phase, and sometime next year into the development phase on this as well. So we know that this is a big one for people who want to be able to not just see alerts when calls come in, but configure things for flexible scenarios that are concerning for your environment that you want to get notified on. And so that's what this would do. Customizable call statistics and scenarios. Now, Matt and Vic, our SEs, they do some wizardry with search set summaries to come up with some of this and kind of shoehorn in, I would say, some custom scenarios, which I'll be honest, I didn't know you could even do. I think it's really cool how they do it, but it's not obvious, right? If I don't know it, then I can't expect everyone else to know it. So what we'd rather do is have first-class support for statistics and scenarios that are user-defined. This will make it a more natural user experience for you and for RSEs to not have to do that anymore. And so that when you're changing how something is defined, you don't have to do that in every report. It'll be defined somewhere else and then applied to your reports. So these are things that we really want to do because they've been asked for a lot, and there's a lot of value to be delivered there. And real quickly, I want to talk about a couple more things. Just the custom default search criteria. Another one that came from a lot of feedback from you all. Call history modules used very frequently, and it comes with a default right now that some people love and some people don't. It's not a big time saver. It's not a big pain to have to change that, but it's not ideal, especially if you're training somebody and have to change that every single time you go to call history is not an ideal scenario. So what we'd rather do is, give you that option to specify a default criteria so that you can, whenever you go to call history, it has exactly what you want predefined, so you don't have to do anything but type in some values that you're looking for. And lastly, we're going to talk about CDR widget drill down. So again, we have fantastic widget support. We have amazing dashboards that you can create. Matt has some of the best. I'll give him that. There's no doubt about it. But what he said and what a lot of you have said is, man, it'd be really cool if I could see what calls are actually making up the summary of this widget. Right now, you don't have that ability. The best way you could do it is to kind of take the search sets that you're using in a widget or the report that you're using for a widget and plug that into call history, and then you can kind of see the details that came from it. That's a little bit roundabout. It's not the best way to get that information. So what we'd rather do is have a way for you to click right into those widgets and see something else, right? See the statistic, whether that's in a pop-up or a new screen, TBD on the design phase of that. But that's what we want to do. We want to be able to support that and make that your lives a little bit easier. So again, in conclusion, I just want to emphasize that, yes, we're moving on. We're doing a lot more with new channels, with new platforms, but we've by no means forgotten where we came from. And we are going to continue to support and add new features and functionality to our existing product suites to make everybody happy as best we can. So that's all I had. I'll hand it back off to Phil for some more awesome prizes.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek. So Zoom phone, calling, MS Teams right around the corner, and some great new features within CUCM, CCX Cube. Great stuff, Derek, and our product team. Huge shout out to everybody. If you're interested in helping us out with our early access programs, please reach out to your account manager, or you can shoot an email to beta@verify.com. We appreciate all the feedback we get during our beta and early access programs. We're a little bit over, so Jim, it's time, the moment we've all been patiently waiting for, the Verify Beyond grand prize announcement. Jim, what do you got for us?
All right, well, thank you all for sticking around. We know your time is extremely valuable, and we appreciate it. We are going to have a Q&A afterwards, so if you do have extra time or questions, please stick around, and our team is happy to answer those questions. Without further ado, I could have just come up with a $3,000 prize and said, this is all you get. But no. We wanted to come up with 3 amazing prizes. Not everybody wants the same thing. So I wanted 3 things that I wanted, and you can pick because I'm that kind of guy. So, Phil, our first option is an Apple Dream Tech Bundle. You can get AirPods Max, an iPhone 14 Pro, and a 12.9-inch iPad Pro. You get all 3 items if you want. Option number 2, Phil, is the ultimate outdoor setup. You'll get 2 YETI base camp chairs, a Tundra cooler, a Hopper soft cooler bag, ramblers, and since you're going to be outdoors with this package, we got to keep you warm with some Patagonia gear. You'll get a $1,500 Patagonia gift card while you're chilling with your YETI setup. And option number 3 is we're sending you to Hawaii. You're getting 5 nights in Maui, including airfare from United Vacations. You're going to be staying at the Aston Ka'anapali Villas right there in Maui. You'll be flying from Los Angeles, courtesy of United Vacations. So our winner will get to pick which of those they want. We will reach right out to you immediately following this from our account managers. Phil, without further ado, who is our grand prize winner? Makisha Donald! Wow, congratulations, Makisha Donald. You are our $3,000 grand prize winner. I also want to thank Sheldon Moss and Jared Doty, our other $500 Amazon gift card winners. Thank you all for sticking around. We really appreciate it. And now I think it's time for some Q&A. Phil, back to you.
Awesome. Congratulations. Your account manager will be with you and be in touch with you. I know some need to drop, so from all of us here at Verify, we want to thank you for attending Beyond 22. Look forward to working with you soon. For all of those who have time to hang on, let us know your thoughts, questions you may have. We'll be hanging around here for the next half hour or so. All right, Dan, Matt, Vic. Any questions in the QA panel we may have missed, or any noteworthy or anything coming in?
Yeah, hey Phil, a lot of great questions. Thank you everyone for submitting the questions through today's session. I want to cover a few that we've received here, so we'll open it up to the panel. So Patrick posed a question liking to know what are some of the additional benefits he'd get out of the Verify application for Zoom Phone Call NX versus the out-of-the-box solution that Zoom offers. So if we could have our team kind of talk a little bit about some of the differences that we see.
You know what, Dan, I can go ahead and field that. So one of the biggest things you're going to see, and I'm going to kind of start with the beginning, is you're getting 18 years of experience in analytics. You know, Verify has been doing analytics for a long time, and that's our focus. You know, so when you talk about, you know, some of the benefits here, you are getting some of the best in the industry. You know, we work with customers. We've been working with customers. We know things that they don't even know. We're able to provide recommendations on things that they don't even know they need, nor do they know they can even get out of a system. So, you know, one of the number one things that you're going to get is you know, the power and support that is Verify in our engineers. You know, I personally have been in this industry for over 18 years. Matt has been along right aside with me. Some of the other folks that are on this line have been, you know, have equivalent. You know, there's not an engineer in our group that's been here less than 10 years or been in analytics less than 10 years. So you are getting a huge amount of experience to make recommendations and to help you build your organization, make proper business decisions, and assure you're getting the right data. Other things from a application perspective we'll talk a little bit about is licensing. You know, our application is not licensed by the user that wants to run a report. We are licensed by the amount of phones you have. So whether Matt wants to get in and run his own reports, or I want to get in and run reports for my departments, or maybe Phil, our marketing director, wants to see what the marketing folks have been up to. I saw Matt's report over there, and I see some people that maybe we should start running some reports on. But Dan being one of them there. But the point being is you're going to get the ability to have as many folks log into the system and start running reports as you want to. There's no additional cost for that. You're not paying an additional fee just to be able to give Victor some reports on his department. Another benefit that you're going to be able to have, and again, you know, how much time do I have? You know, is going to be the ability for the role-based access. You know, if Matt's going to jump in and run some reports on himself, I want him to only be able to see his own data. I need to make sure that he cannot see me or Phil's or marketing's data, or Phil can come in and only see marketing's data. So that role-based access is something that you're also going to get with Verify. Scheduling reports is another popular one. You know, nobody wants to go in there and have to build reports and generate reports manually. You know, we see it over and over again where, you know, we'll go with customers and you know, they have somebody that creates the reports for everybody else. That's cumbersome. Nobody wants to be that guy. Being able to being able to allow your managers access to the system, let them set up their reports, and let them forget it, and let them schedule those reports, look at the dashboards when they want is huge. So the ability to just kind of schedule those reports and, to steal the words of our great George Foreman, set it and forget it. Build out the reports, get what you want, have it delivered to you on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, quarterly basis, whatever you want is huge. Again, I could keep going. There's a lot of different things that differentiate us from just the standard Zoom package. Speaking just outside of Zoom, the multi-platform support, as Derek had mentioned, whether it's Cisco Call Manager, delving into WebEx Teams, delving into WebEx Calling or MS Teams, or just regular UCCX. Having all that under a single platform that your users can go to is a huge advantage. Nobody wants to go run an MS Teams report and then have to go to another platform and run a Zoom report and then go to another platform. And, well, we've all seen Cisco data. Nobody's using it anyway. But having to go to Cisco and try to run another report. So, having all of that in the one organization, one platform is huge, because you know what? You may be on Cisco right now and may be moving to Zoom. You may just be an all Zoom house, but is that where you're going to be 2 years from now or 3 years from now? Maybe not, but you're going to want to see how those transitions and those cutovers go. So getting all that under one location is, again, another huge advantage. And, I don't want to eat up everybody's time. I could go on. There's quite a few advantages that we have, over the Zoom analytics application, but as well as other reporting applications.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you mentioned the hybrid scenarios. I mean, we're already starting to talk with a lot of customers that are either in POC with Zoom and, on Cisco, or just have hybrid environments to have all that data consolidated into one platform. To me, I think that's the key takeaway here. A lot of other questions coming in here, more on the Zoom track here. And I thought this was interesting. We had an attendee ask a question, how far back will we initially be able to bring back Zoom data via the API? And this comes as a more of a pricing question, if anything, right? We are having Zoom for on-prem and cloud. How does that affect, right? If we could go back X number of weeks, days, months, how does that affect pricing? So I guess bottom line is, how far back will we be able to bring data for our initial Zoom hookup?
The initial hookup, I want to say it's 1 month, but Derek, can you clarify that for me? I want to say it's 1 month as far as what's attainable on that initial.
I think you're correct, Matt. 30 days, I think, is what we decided. Yep,
that's right. Okay. Yep, you got it.
Perfect. Excellent. I apologize if I butcher the name here. Kador wants to know if there is a report that will highlight dropped calls to a user or a queue in our Zoom call analytics, Zoom phone call analytics.
Correct. Yes, there is. There's fields in that data set that we're going to be able to use to leverage that, show those abandoned calls or those drop calls or those call cancels or those failures. We'll certainly be able to see that and then leverage accordingly in the dashboard widgets as always, and certainly correspondingly the reports. Yes, on automation too. Yes.
Excellent. Thank you, Maddie.
Welcome.
Sam poses a really good question here. I think this was kind of addressed by Derek, but would like to know, I guess, why we are developing for Zoom before Cisco and WebEx calling. I'll just say that I could handle this question, guys. I'll just say that we did make a preference of Zoom over WebEx calling. We actually started development in parallel. So we had our development teams, two distinct product teams working on this in parallel. It ended up just that we finished with Zoom before WebEx calling. And it bears repeating. Derek mentioned this too. I'll say it again. In no way or fashion are we taking priority with Zoom over Cisco. We still maintain our fully managed partnership with Cisco, and that's not going anywhere. And as they develop their product line, so will we. So we're not losing sight on that front whatsoever. Another question coming in. Will we be able to offer the same cradle to grave sequence content in Zoom data? And for the yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say not on Rev 1, but with a little more development, I do believe cradle to grave, or whatever we're going to call it in the future, will be attainable down the line.
You're going to be able to change the name of that, Matt.
That's what I was saying. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, there you go.
That's why I held off on that.
Our friend Joel, he poses a really good question, and more for today's platforms, some issues that he's seeing today. So I would like to kind of open this up for discussion here. We all know, right, our cradle to grave sequences are based off of the 3 call leg IDs within the call record. And we've seen in the past where if some services get reset within Call Manager, those IDs lose track. And you might see on occasion, rare occasion, I might add, that some of those call leg IDs are reused. And so that will give us an inaccurate sequence, right? You might see 2 call sequences with the same ID. And so Joe would like to ask if we have anything, and we'll take this to look into further, but is there any other options besides those 3 call leg IDs to base a sequence off of? My initial thought on this, and you guys, the pros, correct me if I'm wrong, initial thought on this was looking outside those 3 IDs, that is the factual information. But to better how Cisco does it, what else can we look at? Can we apply some fuzzy logic to look at date timestamps in addition to the call leg IDs? But any thoughts from the panel here on that topic? I know we run into this on a rare occasion. We've seen it, but
Yeah, Dan, I'd say that does get fuzzy. And as much as look, I think we've tried that, and that's that would be similar logic to, and we've had customers, can I cradle to grave across one cluster to another one? When the IDs don't match, then you start trying to base things off of dates, off of times, off of telephone numbers. And I think as we've all seen with Cisco data, it's just not that simple. We all wish it were, but a phone number, route patterns, calls get bounced in and out of queues, and they come back exact date times, exact different same duration, same phone numbers. It's very hard to match that. So I mean, obviously that's something that we can look at offline, Dan, you're right. But it's not that we haven't tried to use different logic to do cradle to grave. We've examined it from the perspective more of that cross cluster cradle to grave reporting, but it just gets ugly. And if in my personal opinion, if you can't do something 100%, don't do it at all. The last thing I want to return is somebody that has 80% good results and 20% results that we don't know what to do with. That doesn't help make business decisions. You need to be able to have those results right. You need to be able to show why those results are right. And I think when you start to talk about when a call manager resets some IDs or something like that due to those resets, again, that's a limitation of the data, and one of those things that there's really no other 100% accurate way we're going to be able to match those call records.
Yeah, you put it perfectly, Vic. Thanks for that. Some additional new questions just coming in. So from Devon, can Verify show queue metrics for other Cloud Center offerings like NICE, F9, or Amazon Web Services Connect, their contact center solution? So I'll field this, guys. While we are definitely taking more of a priority on Zoom Contact Center, WebEx Contact Center, right? That is the progression that Derek was talking about. We are always absolutely looking at other manufacturers. We're looking at the market research to see where main usage is at. I will say this is not the first time I've heard the request for Amazon or AWS Connect. I've actually just received another one today for that. So if you have specific requests or requirements in mind, please do let us know. We're always happy to talk with you on the side to get a better understanding. Main use cases, providing what we offer for Cisco, now Zoom, and eventually Microsoft, expanding that out, into the other areas of the market. Absolutely. So, would be glad to talk to you more on that. R. Johnson, any roadmap for reporting on WebEx Contact Center? We migrated from CCX recently. Yeah, we're hearing that a lot. Moving from that on-prem into the omni-channel contact center solution, and yes, as not as a committed, right? Derek kind of made it very clear. It's not yet a committed date for that, but it's certainly on our roadmap, and it's things that we're currently looking into for sure for WebEx Contact Center. Yeah. All right, those are all the questions I have at this point. Any last questions from any of our attendees still on? All right, well, we'll continue to monitor here. Yeah, I personally want to thank everyone for attending our Verify Beyond session. Really, really appreciate your time. Hopefully you gained a lot of insight. Thank you to the panel here. Great presentations, guys. I will wrap it up for today if there's no other questions, and no other questions I see. So thank you everyone for coming. Appreciate your time. Have a good rest of your day. Thanks. Bye-bye.